I want to apologize in advance. Again, thank you to the committee members and to my fellow tribal leaders on this panel. I need to leave immediately after my remarks because I have to catch the earliest flight out of D.C. to be back in my community to unfortunately address some public safety issues that are occurring. But I feel compelled today nonetheless, based on the events in my community and based on the meetings that I've had this week at federal agencies and here in Congress, to use my time to speak directly to all of you about how the actions that are being taken here in Washington, D.C. are impacting our community, as I'm sure they're impacting tribal communities across Indian country. Now, what we are experiencing now are real needs at home. Life and death brings concern. No. Real fear to our community about what is happening here in Washington, D.C. Now, there are several sectors of the public that may be applauding the slashing of federal funding because they have been convinced it is fraught with waste and abuse. There are those who now see federal employees as the new enemy, people who don't work and only seek out federal jobs to carry out a political agenda. I doubt you will hear a tribal leader argue that the federal government can't be made more efficient or that there aren't places where cuts could be made. After all, we have been dealing with the federal government longer than any other group in this country. But what I want to say is the current approach, this chainsaw approach, is not going to bring efficiencies. It's not going to find billions of dollars in savings by indiscriminately cutting employees without a thought to how that will impact services. This will not make government more efficient and effective because it is only creating a federal workforce that is paralyzed by fear. These actions are destabilizing and they bring uncertainty. Members of the committee, respectfully. What I want you to know is that these actions will have a disproportionate impact on Indian country. I've often said that the government-to-government relationship is only as strong as our federal partner. And right now, there is real concern that the federal side of this partnership has the potential, the real potential, of being dismantled. Now, at a time when I need to call on the federal government to provide public safety resources for my community, I don't know if the staffing or resources will be there, members of the committee, respectfully. At a time when our tribal health care outcomes still lag behind that of the general population, our Indian Health Service personnel are worried about whether to complete an email detailing what they worked on last week and wonder whether it will lead to their firing. Now, at a time when my community continues to work on addressing the drought on the Colorado River, employees with years of experience addressing these tribal water rights and water resources in the West don't know if they will have jobs in a month. At a time when our veterans need continued services, they wonder if the cuts at the VA will impact their ability to access benefits and get the care they need. At a time when our community built 2 new schools in partnership with this committee to improve the educational outcome of our students, our teachers and parents are worried that the BIE programs may face significant cuts. This is not anecdotal. This is real. This is happening right now. Again, there are reforms that can and should be made, members of the committee, but they must be made in a way that offers insight, consultation with tribal governments, and with dignity. And they must be made by those who have the experience and the knowledge of tribal programs. Funding and staffing decisions for Indian programs should be made by this committee, respectfully, which has the jurisdiction over these important decisions. Now, members of the committee, Chairman Zinke, I have personally heard all of you educate others about the sacred trust responsibility toward tribes. You make sure new members to the committee understand that the political relationship with tribal governments is one that cannot be negotiated away. I know that the funding gains we make are hard fought, and I know that some years when major cuts happen elsewhere that you work to minimize the impact on Indian country. And I will wrap up to say that it is up to this committee to make those decisions within this jurisdiction and authority and provide my people with the certainty that they deserve, the certainty that the essential programs that they rely on won't simply be cut by 50% without due consideration by this committee, certainty that our tribal sovereignty will be upheld and honored. And as I mentioned at the outset, I must leave right away to get back to my community to address a public safety crisis that has arisen. I should have left last night, but I felt it was critical that I speak to all of you about these concerns. On behalf of my community and our members, thank you for allowing me this time today.
Mr. Chair, can I just, you go ahead if you want.
No, go ahead.
I just want to thank you for staying. I'm so sorry about the crisis you have to go home to face, and my sympathy to everyone in your community. But also thank you for your thoughtful remarks and for taking the time to talk to us about our important responsibility.